With the recent drop of the January 11th Nintendo Direct Mini, a whole bunch of games have been revealed for the Nintendo Switch, including Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. Being the third time this game is released, it's being pitched as the version to own, with all content from both the Wii U and 3DS versions of the game being included, as well as some Breath of the Wild costumes. So, what about this game is different from either of the previous versions, and could there be even more? Join me in taking a closer look. To start off, let's summarize exactly what makes this a definitive edition. If we listen to exactly what the Nintendo Direct narrator says,
every map, character, and mission from both the Wii U game and the Nintendo 3DS game together, including all the original premium downloadable content.
We're already given a pretty good idea. The trailer proves this too, as we can see mini-blend enemies in the Wind Waker stage, both from Hyrule Warrior Legends. To anyone potentially worried the story content from Legends won't be returning, don't fear, as every map in the game is featured in the story mode, not only the adventure mode. Speaking of adventure mode, this likely means that every single map will be added, meaning that all 9 maps, plus the 10th rewards map, should all be returning. As we can see from the trailer, all alternate costumes appear to be returning, as Linkle can be seen wearing her outfit from the Link's Awakening DLC map, Tetra in her costume from the Master Wind Waker DLC map, Toon Link in his costume from the Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks DLC map, and Impa in her costume from the Link Between Worlds DLC map. What this means is that not only are all maps, characters, missions, and DLC returning, but so are all of the costumes, adventure maps, and weapons. It's more than just these exclusive features from each game being joined together, though. Those who played Hyrule Warrior Legends may remember the My Fairy mode, and it is not only back, but it's also entirely upgraded into 3D with new visuals. The fairy icons can also be seen during gameplay, which, for those who did not play Legends, either activated a widespread attack using the magic meter, or had different ability moves. On the other side of things, those who played the original Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U may remember the final DLC pack, Ganon's Fury mode, which allowed players to use Ganon in an exclusive mode to beat up other giant bosses. And unlockable in this mode was Cuckoo's Fury, where instead of Ganon you play as a giant cuckoo. As we can see in this new trailer, even this is back. So it's safe to say that everything from both versions of Hyrule Warriors will be included in this definitive edition. So next, before going into new additions, let's first figure out what's different or changed from either of the previous versions. To start this off, let's look at the first scene of the trailer. Next, let's look at a recreation from the original Wii U game. As you can see, not only is the game now 1080p on Switch, but the overall graphics appear to have been enhanced, and the lighting seems to be much nicer too. While it could simply be because of the new lighting, it seems the textures may be improved as well. Next, we'll look at some screenshots showing the in-game UI, which can also be seen during the local multiplayer section of the trailer. The UI seems to have been updated as well, as we can see the icon for the bombs is different, and the KO count has been moved next to the EXP meter rather than over it. You probably also noticed these character icons over here, which is very likely to indicate the other characters you can swap to during battle, and you can even keep an eye on their health too. Probably one of the biggest changes, however, is that the co-op in this game is now split screen. Moving on, let's take a look at the character select screen. The layout is mostly the same, but it appears that the character select is overall a bit more spacious, and we can see that you can choose your set of 4 playable characters in order, just like in Hyrule Warrior Legends, which is represented by the different colors down in the center area. The artwork for the characters also appear to be higher quality, and everything just seems to pop more, such as with the text having a stronger glow. Looking at the My Fairy menu, it seems far easier now to view a fairy's stats as well as their abilities. In Hyrule Warrior Legends, players would have to scroll through different pages of information regarding their fairies, but now it's all displayed at once, which is a very nice touch. Additionally, it seems that you can actually get a full view of your fairy, at least as indicated by this camera button down here, which is a nice addition as some of the outfits for the fairies are pretty intricate and interesting, so it'll be pretty neat to see them all in 3D. Overall, it seems the game is mostly the same as the previous ones, while updating its graphics for the Nintendo Switch, and overall making improvements to make the experience better for players. Now, let's get into additions. We know as a fact that this game is getting new content in the form of the Breath of the Wild Link and Zelda costumes. As far as we're actually shown, this seems to be it. I'm almost certain that this is not the case, however, so allow me to explain an educated theory that I have. Originally, Hyrule Warrior Legends was presented as what could only be taken as the definitive version of the game. It added story elements, new stages, characters, weapons, adventure mode maps, and even its own set of DLC packs. The DLC characters from the original game, being Twilight Midna, Young Link, and Tingle, were added as base game unlockables, making their weapons and heart pieces be scattered collectibles across various adventure mode maps. Additionally, they were given alternate costumes in both the base game new adventure map as well as several of the DLC maps. Being added into the base game also warranted giving them their own material drops to use for badges. Now, with Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, we're getting more characters added into the base game, this time being Medley, Marin, Toon Zelda, Ravio, and Yuga. Being DLC characters initially in Hyrule Warrior Legends, all of their weapons and heart pieces were scattered across their respective DLC adventure maps. Now that they're added to the base game, however, it's very likely that they will be characters to unlock on the main first adventure map, with their weapons and heart pieces being scattered across all the other maps. How else would you keep them up to level with other base game characters? Just like the original DLC characters being added into the base game of Legends, these 5 characters will likely also get their own material drops. More importantly, however, they'll likely get costumes if there are any new adventure maps, DLC or not. Why would there be new adventure maps, you ask? Well, let me explain this part of my theory as well. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is likely being made for several reasons, and one of the biggest of which most likely has to do with appealing to fans who skipped out on the Wii U version due to the console's poor user base, and 3DS version due to its poor graphics and gameplay on anything but the new 3DS. Both versions of the game have done very well, and with how big the Switch is, it only makes sense to put the game on this platform as well. Many believe that one of the arguably many reasons Hyrule Warrior Legends got its own set of DLC packs was so that fans who skipped the Wii U version could also get an extended longevity to their game. It's not unlikely, therefore, to think that Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition may follow in the same steps as well. In addition, there also are not many Zelda games left to represent in the game, which could easily be done through DLC. Whether there is more Breath of the Wild content in the base game is unknown, but it could be further supported through DLC. Aside from Breath of the Wild, there are only a few other games to cover, being Minish Cap, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, and the Four Swords games, all of which could technically be covered in a single pack, as they are all the Capcom-developed Zelda games, and Triforce Heroes. Despite its massive base game content compared to both previous versions, Koei Tecmo may wish to avoid having Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition fall out of relevancy too quickly, and support it with DLC packs after its release. Considering the Japanese release date is March 22nd, and the end of the Fire Emblem Warriors DLC is slated for the end of March, the possibility remains open. For both versions of Hyrule Warriors, as well as Fire Emblem Warriors, the base game had a specific level cap, but with each DLC pack, the cap is raised. For the Hyrule Warriors games, the first cap is 99, then 150, then 200, then 255. This seemed to help players pace themselves so as to not become too overwhelmed by such a high level cap for all characters right away. Please keep in mind, however, that everything I said about DLC for Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is merely educated speculation, as there are no actual indications thus far to confirm or deny that the game will continue to be supported after its release. Typically, news of DLC is not announced right when the game itself is, however. If this game is indeed to receive DLC, we'll hear about it within a few weeks of its release at the earliest. There is still much about the game we don't know, as there are actually changes that will likely have to be made in order to combine both versions properly. For example, in the original Hyrule Warriors, there were 4 tiers of weapons, being Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, and Star, which were the DLC 8-bit weapons. In Hyrule Warrior Legends, however, there was a change, with the new system being Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, Level 4, which was visually the same as Level 3 but more powerful, and Level 4 Plus, which was the dual elemental weapons introduced in the DLC packs. The Level 4 Plus weapons looked the same as Level 3 and 4 versions, but with different colors to signify the additional elements. Since Hyrule Warrior Legends did not have the 8-bit weapons, how would this be implemented? It's possible they could make the Level 4 weapons be 8-bit, and the 4 Plus still be dual elemental, while retaining a similar appearance to the Level 3, just a different palette. Additionally, the DLC characters of Legends did not receive dual elemental weapons. Would they this time around, since they're in the base game? Another curiosity is the rewards map. With each illustration completed by defeating Gold Skulltulas, a new level unlocks in the rewards map, making for a total of 13 levels if you count all the DLC maps. In the original Hyrule Warriors, costumes for Link were unlocked after completing a certain number of challenges on the reward map. In Hyrule Warrior Legends, however, several levels in several levels in the base game had costume rewards, which were the boss costumes for Link, Ganondorf, Zelda, Cia, and Lana, as well as the Dark Link costume. Now, however, there are all the DLC maps in the base game, and the boss mode is returning, so those costumes will likely require that mode to be unlocked once again. Perhaps unsurprisingly, if we count all the DLC costumes for other forms of Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf, as well as the Dark Link and new Breath of the Wild costumes, there are 13, so it could be very likely that these costumes will, unfortunately, require obtaining all gold Skulltulas to unlock all of them. Ultimately, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition appears to be shaping up to be truly the version of the game for fans to own, having all of the content of the previous two versions in just its base game, making it really live up to its title. With that, that's everything I was able to find when digging into this game's reveal. I hope this was able to ease anyone's doubts about just how much content will be in the game, and I hope my theory as to both the Legends DLC character treatment and future DLC both end up being true. What do you guys think? Did I miss something, or perhaps you wish to tell me your thoughts on my theory, or even share your own? Make sure to let us know in the comments below, or on Twitter, which you can find the links to in the description below. Make sure you check out our website and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, as well as news, reviews, discussions, and so much more.